Hey, this is our Reverend Bill Ryan, and today is Saturday, September 15th at about 1:10. Um, Here in Atlanta, it's overcast and it's kind of rainy. Um, it's probably still around 60-ish, so it's not too bad, but not a great day to do anything on the outside. So I figured I will review a movie that I saw last night. It's called The Substance. It was written and directed by Coralie Fagat, Fagat. Looked into her background, and I didn't see really anything worth mentioning. I guess she's a relatively new director, which is fine. We all have to start somewhere. It stars Demi Moore as Elizabeth Sparkles, who's an actress and aerobic instructor. Um, and she looks really great. She must be 60 in real life. She looks really good. She can bury most 40-year-olds now. But for the role, um, she can't compete with the 20-year-olds, and I guess that's kind of the theme of this. She's a former Oscar winner. She's got a star on Broadway, but now she's a very capable aerobics instructor. But the time seemed to have passed her by. Um, and she seems to have an alter ego here. Margaret Qualley plays Sue, who's a younger self of hers. We'll get into that in a little bit. It's a little complex, but let me get the characters out of the way first. Then I guess Dennis Quaid, he plays an executive, very shallow man who's only in charge, who only cares about programming and ratings, which I guess it's a good thing. That's what he's hired to do. But his character does come across as being, shallow and heartless. Which may or may not be true of most people. I don't know, but he does seem to represent the powers that be in Hollywood. So anyway, the plot is this. Demi Moore realizes that her career as Elizabeth Sparkles is coming to an end. She hears a conversation in the restroom, which kind of gives away the fact that they're looking for someone younger. She obviously gets very self-critical, and she wants to compete with the 20-year-olds, and she can't. As good as I think she looks, and she does look very, very good. Like I said, for a 40-year-old, and I think in reality she's probably 60. So hats off to her on that one. But considering that we're talking about ratings, and that's just the way it is, you always got to make room for the younger and better ones, more energetic, etc. Plus, her aerobics show comes across more like Jane Fonda take from the 80s, and they want to kind of change things up, make it more energetic, more younger. So anyway, without getting too many details, I don't want to do too many spoilers in here either. I just want to give you the gist. She becomes aware of something called the substance, and the substance is a little complicated. And I'm not sure I completely understand it. There are a lot of things where I thought I knew what it was supposed to be for and what the rules were, and then those seem to have gotten changed up, at least from what I could see. But the substance, what it does is it in theory creates a newer you from the old you. So you don't change, but it kind of makes a younger. I get the impression it's supposed to be a younger duplicate, which, by the way, Margaret Qualley, beautiful, beautiful woman. She reminds me of Jennifer Connelly back when she did Career Opportunities in Labyrinth. Very young, very beautiful. And she does, she can actually pass for a younger Demi Moore. So they did really good job in casting that. Drop dead gorgeous woman. Anyway, Demi Moore does not turn into her. It's almost like it clones her, for lack of a better description. And there's the old Elizabeth Sparkles, and there's the new Sue, which is what she calls herself. And the rules that they have are a little complicated, And like I said, I thought I kind of understood the rules, but then I got kind of lost. But anyway, so what happens is she decides to try the substance out, and she creates a different her, a younger her. Um, she does get a box, a kit, which I'm not going to get into how she gets that. It's kind of a black market feel to it. Um, but she gets this kit, and it's pretty light on instructions. They do have, I don't know, I guess kind of cards, for lack of a better thing, with lines here and there. But for the most part, she's left to figure it out. I honestly don't think I would have been able to, but she figures it out, which is great. Um, it has like two shots, one to make the actual change, and then there's a stabilizer, and then there's like two food packs, um, one for each body, and each one is supposed to last only a week. And the key here is that only one of these two, because at this point there's two entities. There's Demi, who's essentially unconscious on the floor, and there's Sue, and they have to switch back every other week. So in a week, I guess Sue's going to be the one that's lying on the floor, becoming a Sue rug, and Demi Moore has to live, and then they switch back and forth. So that's what it is. Sue, of course, goes in and knocks them dead and gets Demi Moore's job, which is, I guess, her job from an older self. So she's now the new Elizabeth Sparkles, although she's Sue. Okay, so that's it. And, it actually was done very well. The first half of the film, I was intrigued. I didn't want to watch at the beginning because it really wasn't a thing I thought a man could actually get into, which I was wrong. I mean, the direction of the first half was very, very interesting. It reminded me of Requiem for a Dream, if anyone has seen that. And if they haven't, I'd recommend that movie, by the way. Very underrated. But in the fact that the dialogue seems secondary. People do talk, don't get me wrong, but most of it it's action driven. And, the talking it takes a back seat. You don't really need all that much dialogue. Everything's just basically laid out for you. Like I said, kind of like in Requiem for a Dream. So at first, everything goes very, very well, and the movie does too, by the way. I really liked the way it was directed. The first half, very succinct. Like I said, didn't need a lot of dialogue, and I really liked that. I think it added to things because I don't know, you just kind of get into the flow of things better rather than spend 20 minutes talking about things. It's bang, 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 and the movie just moves along, and I thought it was really good. So the talking's a compliment to the movie. What I'm really glad, and I'm going to be very complimentary with the first half of this movie. I thought what would happen is they'd go down the trope of usually a nosy neighbor or coworker would see the difference and would go snooping around and eventually discover it. And had my fingers crossed, and I thought, geez, that's been done to death. The whole kind of like Bewitched things with the Kravitz. But no, I was glad to see it did not go down that avenue, which is great because I thought that was going to doom the movie. By the end of the movie, I was kind of wishing it did go down that road. Anyway, the movie makes it very clear. Again, I gotta establish this because I think this is the problem that I had. That the movie was very clear that Elizabeth and Sue were the same person. That surprised me when I was watching it because as the movie went on, they really began to act like separate entities without regard for each other. And that, gave different maybe memories and consciousness. They have to find out what the other one did through in some investigation, reverse engineering to find out what happened. So I thought to myself, that's kind of odd because if they're the same person, you'd think they'd have the same consciousness and memories, but I didn't find it that way. But still, I don't really think that was a major issue. We can get around that. I mean, it's not a perfect science. I still was very, very high on this movie. I like the fact that, again, with Requiem for a Dream, it had the same kind of theme, and that is people came across something that looks innocuous and probably good. And then what happens is because of human fallacy and weakness, suddenly what seems to be simple and easy ends up being a deep hole that they dig themselves from, and it's impossible or very difficult to get out of. And I like that because that is what life is all about, right? I mean, we make mistakes and then we fix them and we learn from them. So I kind of like that. Uh, now for the part two. I got to tell you, I'm struggling here to find out a movie, and I know there are movies like this. I do know. I'm trying to find a movie that I liked so much in the first half and hated so much in the second half. What I was doing is I was making little notes. I always do when I watch movies because you can't remember everything. So if I see something, I'll make a little note there as the movie goes on. And right around the 45 minutes left, it's a long movie, by the way. It's over 2 hours. And the first, I don't know, 60% is really enjoyable. When I got the last 45 minutes, I began to get a little lost. And I made a note that I think that the rules aren't applying here anymore. And that just went way, way out of control. I mean, it really did. I had no way to reconcile what I was watching in the movie anymore. It completely imploded on itself. I went from being really high on this movie to being absolutely disgusted by the fact that they just blew it. They absolutely blew it. I can't think of a more a movie that I loved more in the first half and hated the more in the second half. It just got completely away from itself. It had great promise and then nothing. It's almost like somebody got this really good first half of the movie and then gave it to somebody, probably an adolescent, and said, hey, why don't you destroy this movie beyond recognition? It's a very promising movie. It's just going to take a lot of work. You really got to be bad at this, though. And that's pretty much what I see. If someone paid me to destroy this movie, I couldn't have done a better job. It went from interesting to a complete waste of time. I was irritated. I was angry on a few levels. Number one, they were making me watch this idiocy. And number two, they ruined what I consider to be a really good movie. The very fact that they're actually considering this for best movie of the year is beyond ridiculous. I had to go check to make sure that I didn't misread something after the movie. To give you a couple of examples, Monty Python I'd like to bring up because they are masters of political satire. And they always had these scenes which were really, really, really funny and convoluted. But they were known, and again, I'm not taking a shot at them. I love Monty Python. They were the ones who actually admitted they didn't really know how to end most of their scenes. So they'd often have things like a foot come down and squash them all, or the building blow up. And that was just an easy way of moving along. So they didn't have to, fix it. I would have been happy if a big foot came down and squashed this movie rather than what I had to sit through. It was painful. It was really painful. I wanted to blow up everybody just to stop the movie from going on. So there you are. I mean, we went from one of the most interesting plot points that I can imagine seeing recently, and then it went to it reminded me of, for those of you, I can't believe I'm saying this, for those of you who remember the Three Stooges, there were a handful of episodes of Three Stooges where they just completely forgot the plot. Usually it was at a dinner where somebody threw a pie, and the next thing you know, everyone's throwing a pie and the whole show's forgotten. All about it is people getting hit in the face with pies. That's kind of what happened here. It's like the whole plot, the whole meaning, the whole message, which I thought was well-founded. You wanted to see this woman wrestle with the fact that she's competing against her younger self. All that was fascinating. And they turned it into this big pie throwing contest like the Three Stooges. I mean, there was no pies being thrown, but my point was the nonsense that went on in the last 45 minutes. Geez, I wish they could go back and change it and do it over again. I don't know what happened. But anyway, there you go. I cannot recommend this movie um, unless you want to see half a movie. But yeah, that's what it is. And I really hope it does not win Best Movie of the Year because I hate to see a really good movie ruined like this. But anyway, that's what I got for you today. If you do like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. That does mean something to us. Um, and if you don't like it, please come back and try again. I'll be here. So this is Reverend Bill, and I am going to be signing off. Have a great weekend. Bye bye now.